Broadcasting from Baltimore, Maryland, this is 5x3 Radio, where strength is for everyone. I'm your host, Emily Sokolinski, owner of 5x3 Training, a strength and conditioning gym in Baltimore, along with my co-host, Rebecca Fishburne, founder of Cornerstone Strength Maryland. Each week, Rebecca and I will discuss the ins and outs of strength training, why there is a no one-size-fits-all approach, and why strength is so important in our daily lives. Thanks for spending some time with us today. Now, on with the show.
I don't think this is relevant to your podcast.
Of course it's relevant to our podcast.
Well, it actually does say recording of stuff.
We can say, that Ryan looks like Joel Kinnaman, and that when Ryan's life becomes a document, they do a bio, we'll have this guy play Ryan.
Yep.
And those of you who don't know who Joel Kinnaman is, you can look him up. He's a nice-looking guy. I'd say when I squint really hard, he looks like Ryan.
If Ryan cut weight, he'd look more like.
If Ryan cut more weight, ooh!
And it looks like he needs some tattoos.
You need some.
This guy's not 255.
Ryan's got some tattoos, but Ryan doesn't have. Yeah, this guy is about his height too.
6'2".
6'2", it says.
6'2".
So you'll put him in heels.
Okay, put him in heels. Oh, he's got a girlfriend. His girlfriend's really tattooed. She's got a neck tattoo. She's like all.
That's hardcore.
Wow. That is hardcore. Where'd he meet her? She's
These tattooed women.
Yeah, Emily.
She's got a neck tattoo.
Yeah,
she's completely covered.
I wouldn't put that past you.
Right. All right.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another 5x3 podcast. I'm here with Rebecca, of course. And
Hello.
Today's podcast, we thought we'd discuss something, and it's going to be a quick one, we think. We
always think
that. We hope. It's a topic that we discuss quite a bit at our workshops, Diego and I do, when we discuss programming at the end of any of the workshops and barbell camps that we do. And it's the topic of consistency. And I speak about this a lot with my clients, and Rebecca, I'm sure you do too, that, people ask us, what's my goal? Do I, what number should I hit? Do I need to shoot for a 315 pound squat? And when am I going to get that 200 pound press? And I just look at them and say, you know what? Just show up. If you show up 3 days a week.
Yeah, it's like that journey of 1,000 miles,
right?
Starts with one step or whatever it is.
Exactly. If you here's what I want you to do for the next 3 months. I want you to show up at your training time, and it can change, but you have to make an appointment, put your, we're doing a training schedule right now. So put your name down on that training schedule, make the appointment with yourself, and show up. You show up and you put the work in, you will make progress, and you will hit that number, or maybe you'll even go beyond that number, but that number isn't anything if you don't show up and put in the work. So consistency.
Yeah, no, I was kind of thinking two things when you're talking about that. Obviously consistency is one of the main building blocks. Mm-hmm. You can't sort of build any sort of successful progress if you don't have that consistency. But what you're describing about put your name in and sign up for your slot, this is all new and different because of COVID restrictions and numbers of people allowed in the facility at one particular time.
Right.
And that was not the way you previously did it. People just sort of showed up. So I'm curious whether having to sign up and put your name down on a sign up slot, whether that encourages, are you noticing that that's encouraging consistency? Do people feel like, oh, I better show up because I'm taking up a slot and somebody else won't be able to train if I don't get there? So, do people go more out of their way to make it on rough days?
Absolutely. And even, but it also comes down to the person, right? I mean, the person's I can never tell sometimes when people start with us, who's going to be that person who's going to show up every single week, no matter what, and get the training in, and who's going to be, they're going to show up, but then the name's going to come off, and then it'll come off again, and then they'll go on, and they may show up or they may not. And it's not because of work. It's just that they're not really into it. Like, it's just not as big a deal for them as they thought it was going to be. But they're very few. That's a very small percentage of people. I think the training schedule definitely has made people more aware of, I'm taking up a slot that somebody else might want. But it's that appointment. it's that writing down, like we make appointments for ourselves for haircuts, dentist appointments, the dermatologist, you have to take your car in. I mean, we have appointments and we schedule those appointments, and we don't want to miss, because if we miss, we might be charged a fee, right? For missing, like, but also it gives us a sense of responsibility, and we're kind of remaining true to, what we have to do for ourselves. Like, I made an appointment with somebody, I'm going to honor that appointment. Accountability. There's the accountability, and that is everything when it comes to training. It doesn't matter what the program is, and I've kind of jumped, I think, to a little ahead of myself, but people want to find that right program, and it comes down to just show up, make sure you get in there, and putting their name down and scheduling a time for themselves makes it more likely for somebody to come in and train.
So before you jump ahead to where
you
were going,
I know. This topic.
What you're describing is two different types of accountability: accountability to an external source, or accountability to self, right? So like when you have the car appointment, or you have the gym slot that you signed up for, or like I've got plenty of people that I have worked with as a personal trainer who have zero goals, but they really just want, like, I call it an accountability buddy, right?
Yep.
So they won't hold themselves to that level of accountability, but if they feel like they're letting someone else down, or they feel like they might lose some money, like if they feel like they're gonna, I don't know, I guess it basically comes down to losing some money or letting somebody other than themselves down. They're not willing to do that, but willing all the time to sort of shortchange themselves. And then there's other people who, I mean, I guess I kind of generally tend to fall more into that category. I'm going to do the workout, I'm going to do the training thing because that's the thing that I like. And you guys can like make your own dinner or get your own selves to soccer practice, or like whatever. I'm doing this thing now. And that's, I mean, it's sort of like people are wired differently.
Absolutely.
But accountability to self or accountability to others, but some sort of accountability.
Yes. And that's like when we do our intro sessions, we have kind of our onboarding sessions. The new prospective member sets a time with the coach to show up and come in and train. And they always come in. They don't miss their sessions. They just do 4. I'll say to them, okay, you pick that time. That time really works for you, right? 6:30. Yes. Make that your training time. Make that your training time. If 6:30 worked for you, that's the time you come in. And when people make that their training time, when they realize they get it, they stay with it. They stay with it, and they don't quit. Then they stop questioning also the program. And this is what comes to, this is where we talk about the consistency in regards to the programming kind of Q&A, when we do the programming section of our workshop. And Diego always says, the most important thing about programming is you need to be consistent. Number one. Like, he doesn't think of anything else when it comes to programming. Sure, you have to have a program. But to be honest, unless it is the stupidest program in the world, and it's got to be really dumb, and I don't think there are that many dumb programs out there. I mean, I'm sure there are dumb programs, but it's got to be like so bad. But even that, if you are consistent with that program, whatever it is that you've been put on, you will make progress. You will make progress. Something will change in you because because you are consistent, because you do it 3 days a week. So something will change in you. You may not get stronger, but maybe you get more conditioned. But maybe, whatever it is, the more consistent you are, the better you get at something, right? It's practice. That's what we're doing when we get into the gym and we train. We practice. And I tell people all the time when they get frustrated on their squat, I said, think about it. You're going to come in next time and you're going to squat again. You get another chance to practice. It's when you stop doing that's when you don't make progress, and then it becomes this gerbil or hamster in a wheel, spinning and spinning and spinning, because you're not consistent, because you show up 1 week and then you don't show up for 2 weeks. And some people, it works for them. Some people, that does work. They're okay with like showing up 1 week and then not coming for 2 weeks and then showing up again, and they're still happy and they're still moving along. But the more consistent you are, if you really are dedicated or want to dedicate yourself to this, the better the progress will be. And Diego says anything else is just, it's easy. It's easy if you just let yourself, if you show up, you put the work in. You were going to say, I think I started to kind of interrupt.
Oh, no, I mean, I was just thinking, like, we're talking about like accountability, and sometimes, for people, it's easier to have that accountability to an external source.
Right.
But if you keep showing up, you keep doing the thing, it's not like, sometimes the change is that you develop the habit, right? And so and that's a piece of it too.
Yes, absolutely.
And there are certainly days where the only thing that gets me or other people into the gym and doing the lift is just like, this is what I do. This is the habit. This is like just the way things
go. Right. You have a client you were mentioning to me, and I've had numerous clients too, who, come in and they want to start a strength program. They want to get stronger. Oh, but at the same time, I'd like to lose 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So,
well,
and then,
I guess
what do you do when you have a client who comes in who wants to get stronger, but then they also have, but at the same time, I want to drop 20 pounds. And
either way, it's consistency, right? It's like finding the program that's going to help you reach your goal, whether your goal is to gain strength in the gym, get to your 315-pound squat, 200-pound press, whatever it is, or it's like, body recomposition, losing body fat, whatever it is, it's going to take time and it's going to take some patience. And that's, I think, where a lot of people get frustrated because they're looking for the quick result, shiny object, something pops up on their, their news feed, whatever. And they're like, oh, here's a product I can buy that can get me the result, or here's a program I can pay for that will get me the result I'm looking for quickly without having to put in the work. Whatever the goal is, it's going to take some work. I mean, there's like a few people who are very blessed and kind of don't need to put in as much work as most other people, but that's not generally the case.
And that's what I say to people. And I think I've talked about this before on another podcast, but when people, most people will come in and they want to get stronger. They want to start the strength program. And then also at the same time, they say, oh, and I when we get into this, I'd also like to talk to you about nutrition. I'd like to talk to you about eating. And I say to them, great, we can do that. I said, first though, I want you to give yourself at least 3 months to build a habit of making yourself train, of coming in 2 or 3 times a week, whatever you can do, and train. You see that logbook that you're filling in? Yeah. And you see every time you come in there, you write down what you're doing and you keep track of your weights. Yeah. I said, that's going to eventually be what you're going to do with your nutrition, but we're not there yet because we haven't built this habit yet. So you talked about, going back to what you talked about with a habit, you're creating a habit by showing up. And that is, for me, I find that if I can get somebody to understand how they've created a habit here, I'm probably more likely to help them understand and have better results when they decide that now is the time to focus on my eating, because I've been tracking my weights, I've been tracking my lifts. Now my coach is saying, okay, I want you to track your food for a week. So that idea of tracking, of keeping, some people can do that easily. Others, you need some time to learn one habit before beginning another habit, and then that food tracking becomes easier. I just say it's the same thing as what you're doing in the gym. You're going to track what you eat. And that goes back to, for me, like keeping a log. When I had a trainer tell me to keep a log for a week of what I was eating, Prison Nutrition asks for like 3 days for somebody. I like a week. I like to see the whole week plus the weekend.
Yeah,
because
weekends are often...
eating is often off on the weekends. But I don't ever try to help somebody with nutrition before they have proven to me that they can get into the gym and train.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, I think that makes, good sense, because like you're talking about, we're talking initially about accountability, or, accountable to someone else or to oneself. What you're doing in the gym, and you're, applying a titrated amount of stress at a particular intervals. That's something that everyone can witness. Everyone can see that you show up. Everybody at the gym can see, like you can check your training log. Your coach can say,
Yep.
You didn't add whatever it is, 5 pounds, or I see you skipped a workout, or that kind of thing.
Right.
Whereas the eating, that's like the whole other 23 hours out of a person's day, and their weekend and their day offs, and who knows, right? So it's like you've got to develop these sorts of habits and accountability to self for those hours when people aren't going to be, oh, what'd you eat? What are you eating over there in the pantry with the door closed behind you?
Right. And you can have moments like that. And I think I tell people, like, it's okay to have those. You're going to derail. You're going to derail. But if you have built up some type of consistency and you build a habit of logging or and tracking, you can have those derail moments because you know how to get back on. You know how to get back on that track. If you've never established a habit, and that's why I don't give meal plans to people. I'm not a dietitian. We're not dietitians here. We're not nutritionists. I don't tell people what to eat. I encourage them to eat certain amounts of protein or carbs or fats. Like, they're all good for you. You need to eat them. But they eventually figure out what works for them. And once they start their nutrition tracking, and they start to see the weight go down or the weight go up, depending on their goal, then they can start to kind of play around with it a little bit more. It is like a little linear progression, right? I mean, it's a little different because it's kind of messier than that nice like line going up as you're getting stronger and adding weight, adding 5 pounds to your bar. But at least and I tell people, you need to give it a month. I had a client who, after like a week, just threw her hands up, and I yelled at her. I didn't yell at her, but I snapped at her. And I said, why? I said, what happened? She goes, well, I didn't lose any weight. I stopped losing weight. I said, it's been a week.
Oh my.
I said, no, we're not having that. I said, you're not doing that. I said, you cannot go by a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because that weight's going to look like up and down. And then, but the trend you want to see is the trend going in the direction that you want it to go in, up or down. That takes a good month, because you're trying to build a habit. You're trying to build a habit of tracking, or, figuring out what foods you like and figuring out your schedule. Shift workers have the hardest time figuring out when to eat, right? My nurses, they're out, and they have a schedule. So I finally was like, they've got this schedule. One of my nurses is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Is that right? No, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Great. I made a schedule for her from 7 p.m. till 7 a.m. These are the times that you have to eat. Every 4 hours, you need to have food. Because that's your day. Like, my day is breakfast, lunch, dinner, maybe a snack, something like that. Your day is 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. as opposed to 8 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. for me. She listened to me because she's my friend and I like her and she likes me. And she came to me the other day and she said, can you read my food log? She said, take a look at my food log. I almost hit 200 grams of protein. And I said, how are you doing with the schedule? She goes, I'm eating. I'm hungry now every 4 hours, but she wasn't before.
Yeah.
But it's taken a month. And we think that, like, in a week, we should be like strong as an ox. How come everything is still so weird? How come I can't squat right? How come I can't press right? How come it's a week? Can you give yourself a month? Good. Can you give yourself 2 months? Okay, now 3 months, 4 months. Okay, now we've built a habit, right? I think they say it takes 2 weeks to build like a habit. I tell people when they start to lift, or you need to give yourself a month to build that habit. I feel like that's a good sense. If you can stay consistent for a good month of training, you're probably going to do very well. It's going to probably become part of your life. But if you're already skipping sessions within that month, it's not going to bode well for progress.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's progress, right? Like the lift's going up. Mm-hmm. But the other thing that is a benefit from consistency is like injury risk reduction.
Yep.
So if you are sort of, like the weekend warrior, or you take a week off and expect to come back and just go ahead and add 5 more pounds or whatever it is, even though you've had a week off, that's a situation where without that sort of consistency, you're going to be more likely to injure yourself, or you get the excessive or rapid increases, jumps that you're not quite prepared to make. So that the consistency in the workload helps make you more durable all around. So there's the progress on the bar, right? Like what weight you're able to move, but there's also like life progress, like how durable you are, how injury resistant you are. And that's another kind of progress. Like you don't have to start and stop with your training because you took a week off, came back, pushed it too hard, got yourself injured, and then were forced to take some time off to recover. If, that's why a lot of times, like when we did the injury stuff, or the pain episodes, like completely shutting down, not training, not trying to maintain any kind of consistency if you're able to, is generally not the recommended approach.
No, I was listening to a good podcast that Diego suggested. He listens to, what's it called? Hold on, let me find it. It was about, they were discussing pain, and he wanted me to hear it just because it was like, everything that we've been talking about. He wanted me to send it to one of my clients because he thought it would be a good episode. Iron Culture is the podcast. And there was you are hurt, now what? Practical tips with featuring 3 physical therapists, 3 PTs they had on. And it was quite a long podcast, but it was the same, it's similar to what we were talking about, how even if you hurt yourself, how can you maintain some kind of consistency in the gym to continue to train? The modifications you can make. Even though you can't use the barbell right now to back squat, because something's bothering you. Well, can you use a dumbbell? Well, can you do a box squat? Well, why don't we do some lunges today? And then eventually get back to that exercise that you enjoy doing. That's, that you really want to be part of your program. Or sometimes that exercise may not be part of your program anymore, but it was the maintaining some kind of consistency in your training, even though you may not be 100%. And that is where people kind of go off too, right? Like, oh, my finger kind of hurts today. Well, I'm going to skip a week.
Yeah, I know someone like that. I'm married to someone like that.
We've trained our clients well. And even our new clients, we've trained so well that I get emails from people. I got an email from one of my new guys who was playing kickball, and he got slammed with the ball in his hand. I guess he was the goalie or something. Or somehow they hit his hand. So his bruise, like his pinky and first and middle finger, they're kind of bruised. So he couldn't really bend it that well. So he took a Monday off, and he came in on Tuesday. He said, what can I do? I was like, oh, well, there's plenty you can do. He still was able to squat. We have the Viking press. So he's able to press overhead without having to hold onto a bar. We didn't bench for 2 days. We stayed with the Viking press, and he deadlifted with straps. And I laughed when I walked over to him at one point after we talked about what he could do. And I said, I just realized we had a client who had 2 missing fingers. He saw them off in a woodworking accident.
Oh, Lord.
He squatted, he benched, and he deadlifted with straps. And after Rob heard that, he was no problem. This guy was training with 3 fingers. And I'm just like, I'm boo-hooing about my little bruised finger. But the fact is, he came in, he showed up. And of course, we kept him training, and he didn't miss a beat.
Stuff for him.
Always. He liked, and he actually really liked the Viking press. I said, well, Diego swears by that. So, you might, because I might want to add that into my program. I was like, we can do that. So, he stayed consistent. He didn't miss at all. But I think it's because we've definitely encouraged our clients, like, we can keep you training. It is. And that's also because they want to. So when they come and they say to me, hey, such and such bothers me, or there's always a solution. There's a solution. And because they know there's going to be a solution, it doesn't even faze them that, to miss a day. Now, of course, there's always exceptions, but for the most part, if we can keep staying with that habit. I like that you said that is really the biggest thing, is like building that habit, because that habit will carry them so far.
Well, I think, the other thing that you're describing that happens there too is it's like somebody gets uh, an injury or something and they come in and they train anyway. I think
Mhm.
that sort of consistency and that sort of normalcy, even in the face of an injury, helps
Right.
a person to feel more resilient, or
Exactly. Exactly.
it's just, like the mental health piece to it is
Yeah.
is there also.
Yeah. I think that's why I was so adamant about training and videotaping and keeping a record of my own rehab from my knee surgery. That
Hmm.
that the strength training helped me recover a lot faster, and mentally and physically I was able to get right back in the gym again. I knew what I could modify. I knew what to do. I know how to help people stay consistent. I wanted to stay consistent and keep that habit with my training. It was going to help me feel better. It was
Right.
going to make me feel like I'm still having a
You still
normal,
recognize yourself,
yeah, I'm
even
not
though
having
you're
a,
injured. This
yeah,
is temporary. This
yeah,
isn't.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. And that's something that that many people who program hop don't get,
Yeah.
right? And they program hop with, exercise programs, and they program hop with, weight loss or even weight gain programs. I mean, we always talk about weight loss, but there's weight gain too. People can go wrong trying to gain weight and not not do it very well. I have plenty of my guys who try to gain weight and don't do very well gaining weight because they think too much about that. There are too many other programs in their head. They want to do too many extra things. It's like, no, just eat. If you're not eating, you're not going to gain weight. So eat. So you can go wrong gaining weight too. I know some people are like, my
Well,
ladies
I
and
mean,
I,
we kind of
we
touched
laugh
on
about
that the
that.
other day,
Yeah,
right? Like
right.
you can do too much too fast,
Exactly.
right? Ends up
Exactly.
being not.
You can always go wrong doing, with whatever it is, because there's that overthinking something. And we can overthink a lot of things. If you overthink too much, you're going to miss out on a lot, because now you're not being consistent with what you were given. Don't try changing something that's not broken. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Stick with it. Stay with it. You will make better progress. You will see results faster. The slower the slower you go, right? It's not it's Mike's phrase when I talk about lifting, when he was working with me on my stone lifting. um, Fast is bad, slow is fast, fast is good. And
Okay.
that's basically, it's when you're picking up a stone, an atlas stone, you can't grab it, you can't just rip it off the ground, right? You have to be controlled. You have to learn how to pick it up appropriately. You pick it up the right way and you're slow and steady with it, you will get faster, because you learn to now pick up that stone the correct way, right? So control. People want to go so fast, then they make mistakes and then think, no, slow. Fast is bad, slow is fast, fast is good, kind of thing, right? So don't try to like speed up a process that requires a little bit more patience.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like our culture really
No,
pushes patience or teaches it
no,
or
no, no.
encourages it much.
We want an
Yeah,
immediate
immediate
result.
gratification. So
Immediate
yeah,
gratification. Yeah, yeah. So I think that's Diego likes the word consistency. He uses that a lot, and he says every time he does the programming lecture now, that's his number one kind of go-to word. This is what programming is all about. Who cares what the program is? If you're not consistent,
yeah.
this program in the world is not going to do a damn thing for you. You're not going to make any progress, and then you're going to get frustrated, and then you're going to move on to something else, and just keep repeating that cycle over and over again. So I think that is all I have to say about consistency. I don't.
Yeah, short podcast.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Consistency helps build good habits.
That's right.
It helps with reduced injury risk. It helps with outcome.
It is habit based. It will
Yeah.
build good habits within the gym and also outside of the gym. right? It helps you. You have a schedule when you have a schedule with your training, when you're consistent with your eating, all of a sudden, you're gaining weight where you would need to, you're losing weight, performance is good in the gym, your, life is better, you're moving better, not feeling injured, all those good things. It's kind of, they all work together. They're all intertwined. Yeah, so I think we're just going to wrap up there with our discussion on consistency today. If anybody has comments or questions about the topic, of course, you can always
It's like the
send
shortest podcast ever.
Yes,
Emily.
send those to us. I told you, send those to us. Me, Emily at 5by3.com, Rebecca at
Cornerstone Strength Maryland at gmail.com.
And thanks everybody. It was great doing this the podcast today, nice and quick, short and sweet. We hope to do more of these. All right, have a great week, and
Awesome.
we'll be back soon. Thanks, Rebecca.
Take care.
Bye. Thanks for listening to 5by3 Radio with Emily and Rebecca. If you like our show and want to know more about 5by3 training, please visit us at www.5, that's F-I-V-E, the letter X, the number 3.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram. To learn more about Rebecca, please visit her website, cornerstonestrengthmaryland.com. Thanks for listening and have a great week.